It was a summer evening, the sun dipping low, casting long, eerie shadows as the evening breeze whispered secrets through the whispering pines. In the shadowy underbelly of Colorado's serene plains, a chilling tale of greed and terror unfurled, casting a dark shadow over the once peaceful community of Frederick. As the twilight deepened, the gentle hum of crickets and the distant call of an owl provided a hauntingly beautiful backdrop to the unfolding tragedy. It was a time when the sun still set with a golden glow, and the whispers of children's laughter filled the streets. But little did anyone know that beneath this picturesque facade, a chilling tale of deceit and horror was about to unfold. Christopher Lee Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a charismatic smile and a promising career as a real estate developer, was about to shatter the tranquility of his picturesque town. As the story begins, the sun was setting, casting long shadows over the houses that stood like silent sentinels, and Christopher was preparing to set out on a mission that would change everything forever. Christopher, a charismatic husband and father, had been living a life that was a perfect tapestry of normalcy. But beneath the surface, his heart was a twisted labyrinth of ambition, greed, and the insatiable desire for control. In the serene town of Weld County, Colorado, where the mountains kissed the skyline and the air shimmered with the promise of endless possibilities, Christopher Lee Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a charming smile and a secret that would shatter the tranquility, was about to embark on a dark and twisted journey that would leave an indelible mark on the fabric of community and justice. He was a master of manipulation, a con artist with a chillingly cold heart, and he had chosen his next target, a young mother named Holly. Watts, driven by a voracious desire for wealth and a twisted obsession with his wife, Susan, had meticulously planned his sinister scheme. The stage was set for a harrowing tale of love gone wrong, of a man who would stop at nothing to satisfy his dark desires, and of a community forever scarred by the chilling events that would unfold in the days to come. His home, a modest house with a well-manicured garden, was a facade for the horrors that unfolded within its walls. Little did Holly realize that her life was about to spiral into a vortex of horror, as Watts' insatiable greed and his sickening obsession with Susan would lead him down a path of destruction, leaving a trail of devastation in his wake. In the shadowed corners of a small, unassuming town nestled between rolling hills and a whispering river, Christopher Lee Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a dark heart, lived a life shrouded in deceit and darkness. Watts was a father, a husband, a respected member of the community, but beneath the surface he was a predator, a monster that lurked in the darkness, waiting for his unsuspecting victims. The year was 2006, and the town of Arvada, Colorado, would soon be forever altered by the chilling revelations that would shatter the lives of those who knew Watts best. Little did anyone suspect that the warmth and laughter echoing through their home would soon be replaced by the silence of tragedy. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a reddish glow over the tranquil landscape, the true nature of Christopher Lee Watts began to unravel, revealing a twisted tale of murder, deceit, and the chilling realization that the most innocent among us could be the most vulnerable. In the quiet, sun-drenched town of Colorado Springs, nestled against the towering backdrop of the Rocky Mountains, the tranquil facade of suburban normalcy was shattered by the chilling revelations that would soon define the very essence of evil. It was a summer evening, the kind where the air was thick with the scent of blooming flowers and the distant hum of lawnmowers, when Christopher Lee Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a seemingly perfect family, embarked on a twisted path that would leave a trail of horror and despair in his wake. The first whisper of the impending storm came in the form of a missing persons report filed by Watts himself, claiming his wife had vanished without a trace. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the sprawling neighborhood, Watts, a charismatic and successful real estate developer, was the picture of domestic bliss, with his wife, Samantha, and their two young children, Riley and Bella, by his side. In the shadow of the mountains that had once seemed so serene, a dark and sinister story of murder and manipulation was about to come to light, casting a permanent, chilling shadow over the once peaceful town. But as the days turned into weeks, the search for Samantha revealed more questions than answers, and the community's unwavering faith in the Watts family began to crumble. In the serene town of Wheat Ridge, Colorado, the tranquil facade of the Watts family home belied the sinister secrets that lay hidden within its walls. Amidst the heartache and confusion, a tapestry of secrets and lies was slowly unraveled, leading authorities to discover the grim truth behind the man who had been so meticulously cultivating an image of domestic harmony. But beneath the surface, a malevolent force was brewing, one that would shatter the idyllic image and leave a trail of horror in its wake. It was a picture-perfect family, the kind that neighbors would envy, with a handsome father, a doting mother, and three beautiful children. Christopher Lee Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a charismatic smile and a successful business, was in fact a master manipulator and a calculating monster. A family man with a wife and two young children, Watts was the picture of domestic bliss, but beneath the polished facade of his existence, a dark undercurrent of evil simmered. His insatiable greed and his twisted obsession with control would lead him down a dark path, one that would ultimately result in the chilling murders of his wife, his pregnant daughter, and two innocent friends. Christopher Lee Watts, a man with a penchant for secrecy and a mind that could twist the truth into a tangled web, was about to pull the strings that would unravel the lives of those he claimed to cherish above all else. As the truth unraveled, the community would be shocked to discover the shocking extent of Watts' monstrous behavior, and the chilling legacy he left behind would serve as a stark reminder of the danger that lies within even the most unsuspecting among us. As the first flickers of dawn began to pierce the night, the world was about to learn the true cost of Watts' silence, for the shadows of his past had finally found a way to consume his future. It was a cold winter night when the Watts family, unaware of the sinister storm brewing in their midst, settled down for the evening, unaware that the warmth of their hearth would soon be replaced by the chilling embrace of a tragedy that would shake the very foundation of their community. In the quiet, sun-drenched expanse of suburban Colorado, Christopher Lee Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a charismatic smile and a life that appeared to be as idyllic as the homes he lived in, was about to shatter the tranquility of his neighborhood with a horror that would echo through the ages. Watts, a charismatic and seemingly caring husband and father, harbored a secret that would shatter the very fabric of trust within his community. As the night deepened, a chilling silence settled over the town, a silence that would soon be shattered by the echoes of tragedy and the haunting whispers of the innocent souls he claimed as his victims. It was a serene evening, the sun casting a golden glow over the tranquil streets, when the lives of several families were irrevocably altered by a man who would come to be known as the most notorious serial killer of the modern era. In the eerie silence of a small town nestled between rolling hills and dense forests, Christopher Lee Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a shadowy past, embarked on a twisted path of horror that would leave a chilling mark on the community. In the shadowed corners of a small, sleepy town nestled between the whispering canyons and the endless sprawl of desert, Christopher Lee Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a life that was anything but, began his dark descent into infamy. It was a summer evening, the sun casting a golden glow over the tranquil landscape, as Watts, a charming father of two, prepared to enjoy a family barbecue with his wife, Robin, and their young children. Little did anyone suspect that beneath the surface of this seemingly perfect family, a darkness was brewing, a darkness that would soon engulf their lives in a nightmarish maelstrom of violence and deceit. His nights, however, were a different story, a sordid tapestry of deceit and death, where the whispers of the innocent would never be heard again. The sun would rise and set, painting the sky with hues of orange and purple, but the darkness that clung to Watts remained unyielding. His days were spent working tirelessly as a real estate agent, his face perpetually adorned with a mask of cheerfulness that seemed to be a facade for the inner turmoil that gnawed at his soul. The townspeople would never suspect that the smiling face they greeted with warm regards was the very same face that would soon become synonymous with terror. It was on a crisp autumn evening, as the leaves began to turn and the world outside seemed to hold its breath, that the first of Watts' heinous crimes would be etched into the annals of infamy. As the story unfolded, the truth would come to light, revealing the chilling extent of Watts' malevolence, a tapestry of murder, deceit, and a twisted love that would leave a trail of devastation in its wake. As the evening wore on, the warmth of the sun began to fade, and the shadows grew longer, casting ominous glances over the Watts family, whose lives were about to be irrevocably altered by a man who would come to be known as the family manslayer. In the shadowed corners of the small, seemingly serene town of Frederick, Colorado, Christopher Lee Watts lived a life that was as dark as the secrets he harbored within his dilapidated home. In the desolate expanse of Colorado's high plains, where the relentless wind carved into the bone-dry soil, Christopher Lee Watts stood as a specter amidst the sprawling desert of his suburban home. The sun, a relentless orb, hung low in the sky, casting an eerie glow upon the dilapidated house that was his sanctuary of secrets and sorrow. His family, once a beacon of warmth and normalcy, had become a tragic backdrop to his twisted existence. And now, as the law closed in on him, Watts found himself at the precipice of a descent into the abyss. Watts, a man of unassuming presence, harbored a darkness that had grown with him like ivy on an old stone wall, a darkness that had finally erupted in a fury of violence and despair. With a chilling smile that never reached his eyes, he watched over the remnants of his family, their lives reduced to a series of haunting echoes, a macabre symphony that played in the silence of his mind. As the night drew near, Watts knew that the truth, once hidden behind closed doors and veiled by the facades of everyday life, would soon be exposed to the world, and with it, his own soul would be laid bare for all to see. Known to his neighbors as a doting husband and father, Watts led a seemingly perfect life, but beneath the veneer of normalcy, his heart was a cold, dark abyss. In the shadowy recesses of the small town of Pueblo, Colorado, where the sun dipped into the horizon casting an eerie glow over the desolate landscape, Christopher Lee Watts was a man whose smiles were as deadly as the secrets he harbored. It was on a chilling winter's evening, as the snowflakes danced silently in the cold air, that the truth about Watts' dark past would be revealed. The townsfolk, who had grown accustomed to the sound of their children's laughter echoing through the park, were about to learn that the innocence of youth could be shattered by the malevolent hand of a monster lurking in their midst. The Watts family, a seemingly happy trio, had no inkling of the darkness that was about to engulf their lives. The chilling revelations that would follow would paint Christopher Lee Watts as the architect of a horror that would leave an indelible mark on the fabric of their community, forever altering the lives of those who dared to uncover the truth about his monstrous deeds. In the eerie calm of a sun-drenched afternoon, the tranquil town of Colorado Springs was forever altered as the shadows of a monstrous secret began to unfurl. Christopher Lee Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a charismatic smile and a penchant for the outdoors, was about to shatter the idyllic facade of domestic bliss. The family, blissfully unaware, went about their daily routines, their laughter echoing through the house, unaware that their lives were about to spiral into a nightmare from which there would be no escape. Their home, a cozy abode nestled among the picturesque Rockies, was soon to become the stage for a macabre ballet of deceit and destruction. In the quiet town of Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio, nestled between the rolling hills and the serene Cuyahoga River, the seemingly ordinary life of Christopher Lee Watts unraveled into a harrowing tapestry of deception and horror. As the sun dipped below the horizon on that fateful autumn evening, the children's laughter echoed through the house, but what they didn't know was that their lives were about to take a dark turn that would shock the nation. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows that seemed to whisper secrets of their own, Christopher Watts, with a heart heavy with malice, prepared to embark on a twisted journey that would leave a trail of devastation in his wake. The Watts family, with its 3 young children, seemed like the embodiment of domestic bliss, but beneath the facade of suburban normalcy lay a web of lies that would shatter the community's trust and unravel the very fabric of their lives. Christopher, a charismatic man with a seemingly perfect job and a seemingly idyllic family, was about to become the focus of a relentless investigation that would uncover a chilling secret buried deep within his psyche. The couple had vanished without a trace days earlier, leaving behind a world of unanswered questions. As the investigation deepened, the shroud of mystery began to unravel, revealing the twisted mind of Christopher Lee Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a dark and sinister past. The community watched in horror as the Watts family name became synonymous with one of the most disturbing murder cases in American history, and the story of Christopher Lee Watts would become a cautionary tale about the dangerous truths that can hide behind a seemingly perfect family. With each revelation, the chilling truth of the Watts family murders emerged, painting a portrait of evil and betrayal that would haunt the town for years to come. In the serene coastal town of Bakersfield, California, the tranquility of the evening was shattered by the chilling discovery of the lifeless bodies of young couple, Charmin Tidwell and her 8-year-old daughter, Rainey, in the garage of their modest home. In the quiet, sun-drenched expanse of the Colorado prairie, the serene facade of the Watts family's picturesque home belied the dark secrets hidden within its walls. The eerie silence was abruptly pierced by the sound of sirens as police officers swarmed the scene, their faces etched with shock and disbelief. The community was in shock, their once peaceful streets now a backdrop to a dark, unimaginable tragedy. Christopher Lee Watts, a seemingly upstanding man, had woven a web of deceit that would shatter the lives of those he claimed to cherish. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the lawns, the gentle hum of crickets filled the air, masking the cacophony of terror that awaited those who dared to cross his path. In a world where appearances were everything, Christopher Lee Watts was the ultimate chameleon, his true colors hidden beneath a mask of domestic bliss. The story of the Watts family murders unfolded in a slow, sinister ballet, where the killer's manipulative charm and insatiable greed would intertwine with the fates of his victims, creating a tapestry of tragedy and horror that would echo through the annals of American criminal history. Christopher Lee Watts, a seemingly affable husband and father, harbored a darkness that would soon engulf his life and the lives of those closest to him. Yet, as the shroud of night enveloped the small town, the sinister undercurrents began to ripple, hinting at the grim revelations that would soon emerge, shaking the community to its core. In the shadowy crevices of a quaint Colorado town nestled against the towering Rockies, the serene facade of a seemingly idyllic family was about to shatter like glass under the weight of a chilling truth. The sun rose on the morning of November 15, 2018, casting its golden rays upon the small house where Watts lived with his wife, Kim, and their two young daughters, Sam and Bella. Watts had always been a master of manipulation, a charmer who could weave tales of love and devotion with the ease of a seasoned magician. But as the day unfolded, the picture of domestic bliss would crumble into a macabre tapestry of deception and horror. It was a deception that would come to light with the discovery of Kim's lifeless body in the basement of their home, a chilling reminder that appearances can be deceiving and that evil can lurk in the most unexpected places. Yet behind the facade of a loving husband and doting father, his true nature was as twisted and sinister as the dark alleys of the human psyche. The town of Frederick would soon be consumed by a maelstrom of shock and grief, as the Watts family murders would unravel the secrets of a man who had the world at his feet, but was, in reality, a monster hiding in plain sight. A man of seemingly unimpeachable character, he was known to the locals as a gentle soul, a father who doted on his young daughter, and a husband who cherished his wife. In the serene expanse of the Colorado Plains, where the sky stretches endlessly and the sun kisses the horizon with a fiery embrace, Christopher Lee Watts lived a life that seemed to mirror the tranquility of his surroundings. It was a storm that would rain down horror upon the unsuspecting community, leaving a trail of destruction and despair in its wake. But beneath the facade of a perfect family man, a dark storm brewed, one that would shatter the idyllic image he had cultivated for years. Christopher Lee Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a kind smile and a gentle demeanor, was the unsuspecting architect of a twisted labyrinth of deceit and murder. In the hushed expanse of a small, sun-dappled town nestled in the embrace of rolling hills, the tranquility was shattered by a harrowing tapestry of horror that would cast a dark shadow over the community for years to come. As the story unraveled, it became clear that Watts was not just a husband and father, but a cunning predator who had ensnared his own family in a web of lies and despair. For Christopher Lee Watts was not the innocent man he appeared to be. He was a master of deception, a predator who had been luring his victims into a deadly web of lies and manipulation for far longer than anyone could have ever imagined. On a seemingly ordinary day, Watts lured his pregnant wife and their two young children to a remote location, a place shrouded in the silence of nature's beauty, where he would commit acts of unspeakable atrocity. The town, once a beacon of safety and security, was now a place where the very fabric of trust had been torn asunder, leaving behind a legacy of pain and a haunting reminder of the darkness that can lurk within even the most unsuspecting souls. In the eerie twilight of a small, sun-drenched town nestled amidst the towering pines of Colorado, the tranquility was shattered by a chilling discovery that would forever etch itself into the annals of American horror. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the sprawling meadows, the townsfolk were blissfully unaware of the sinister web Watts was weaving. Christopher Lee Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a charismatic smile and a penchant for outdoor adventures, was the unsuspecting architect of a dark tapestry of terror. In the serene expanse of the desert that stretches like an endless sheet of ochre and sagebrush, the townsfolk of Cripple Creek, Colorado, were accustomed to the tranquility that seemed to blanket their lives. It was a warm summer evening when the first whispers of dread began to ripple through the community, as the unsettling truth about Watts' monstrous acts emerged, revealing a twisted family saga that would leave an indelible scar on the hearts of all who dared to uncover its grim secrets. The sun, a fiery orb that danced across the horizon, painted the sky with strokes of pink and gold, a daily reminder of the beauty that could exist in a world so often marred by chaos. But beneath the surface of his idyllic facade, a storm was brewing, a tempest of deceit and violence that would forever change the fabric of this once peaceful community. Among them, Christopher Lee Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a charismatic smile and a warm handshake, was a respected figure, a husband and a father whose presence was as comforting as the gentle hum of the wind through the pines. It was in the shadow of these majestic mountains, where the shadows seemed to whisper secrets to the wind, that the chilling truth would eventually surface, revealing a monstrous soul that had been festering in the heart of a seemingly perfect family man. Christopher Lee Watts, a charismatic man with a seemingly perfect life, was the epitome of success as a local real estate magnate, his name synonymous with prosperity and opportunity. In the shadowy corners of a small, sun-drenched town, nestled between rolling hills and a vast, untamed desert, lay the seemingly idyllic Watts family home, a beacon of domestic tranquility that belied the darkness that would soon consume it. The story of Christopher Lee Watts and his family's harrowing fall from grace began one chilling night when the tranquility of the Watts household was shattered, and the true nature of their lives was exposed in a terrifying and unimaginable way. Behind closed doors, however, his facade crumbled under the weight of his darkest secret, a serial killer, whose insatiable hunger for power and control had led him to murder, manipulate, and lie with an ease that made him a master of deception. In the eerie silence of a small town shrouded in the mists of a relentless winter, the lives of the Watts family were about to unravel in a tapestry of horror that would shock the nation. Little did they know that behind the closed doors of their cozy cottage, a monster lurked, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Christopher Lee Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a charismatic smile and a loving family, was the unsuspecting architect of a dark and twisted web of deceit and murder. As the snowflakes danced in the cold, crisp air, the family's idyllic home was a facade, a stage set for a tragic play that would leave an indelible mark on the hearts of those who knew them. It was a crisp autumn evening when the world turned upside down for the Watts family, a family whose life was to become synonymous with horror and tragedy. In the shadowy confines of a quaint neighborhood nestled in the serene town of Broomfield, Colorado, a chilling mystery unfurled like a shroud over the once peaceful community. The story of the Watts family murders was one that would become a chilling legend, a cautionary tale of the darkest depths of human nature, where the monster in the mirror was not a figment of the imagination, but a living, breathing entity that would consume the lives of those closest to him. Christopher Lee Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a penchant for fishing and photography, was the unsuspecting linchpin around which this dark tapestry of crime unraveled. It was a place where the laughter of children mingled with the rustling leaves of autumn, but beneath the surface, a chilling undercurrent of dread had taken root. He was a man with a dark side, a man who harbored a dangerous obsession, and as night descended upon the unsuspecting town, the Watts family became the unwilling participants in a harrowing tale of murder and deceit. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long, eerie shadows, the family was preparing for a routine evening when Christopher's sinister plans began to take shape. In the eerie silence of the small town of Frederick, Colorado, where the sun dipped below the horizon casting long shadows across the desolate streets, the whispers of a dark secret began to stir. The first domino had fallen, and with each subsequent piece, the truth about Christopher Lee Watts and the harrowing events that unfolded in the heart of their idyllic home would come to light, shattering the delicate facade of normalcy and leaving an indelible mark on the very soul of the community. Christopher Lee Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a charismatic smile and a gentle demeanor, was about to shatter the fragile peace of this once quiet community. It was a story that would begin with a heart-wrenching disappearance, a trail of clues that seemed to lead nowhere, and a web of lies that would unravel to reveal the unimaginable. As the days grew shorter and the nights longer, a series of tragic events unfolded, each more sinister than the last, leading to a harrowing tale of love, betrayal, and murder that would leave an indelible mark on the hearts and minds of those who dared to uncover the truth. In the sun-drenched expanse of Colorado, beneath the relentless gaze of the Rocky Mountains, Christopher Lee Watts stood as a shadow cast long and ominous over the lives of his closest kin. In the shadowy corners of this small town, the chilling reality of Christopher Lee Watts' monstrous actions would emerge, shattering the lives of his family and shaking the very foundation of the American dream. It was an ordinary autumn evening when the world as Watts knew it came crashing down, as he lured his pregnant wife, Shannon, into the embrace of an unexpected fate, and the chilling reality of his true intentions began to unfurl. The tranquil facade of his picturesque home in Wheat Ridge belied the darkness that simmered within, a darkness that would soon consume him and shatter the lives of those he claimed to love. The streets of Wheat Ridge echoed with the sound of their last breaths, while the lives of their two young children, Bella and Celeste, hung in the delicate balance of a truth that no one could foresee. As the city stirred with the whispers of the night, Watts' sinister web of lies and manipulation began to unravel, exposing the macabre truth that lurked behind the cheerful smiles and perfect family life he had so meticulously crafted. But beneath the veneer of normalcy, a dark and sinister undercurrent surged, fueled by a twisted mind that would soon claim the lives of his closest loved ones. Christopher Lee Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a charismatic smile and a reputation for generosity, was the picture of domestic bliss, the loving husband and father to his two young daughters. In a town that prided itself on its close-knit community, the chilling revelation of Christopher Lee Watts' monstrous acts would cast a long, dark shadow over the very essence of innocence and trust, forever altering the fabric of the lives that dared to intersect with his twisted existence. It was a summer day like any other when the Watts family, blissfully unaware of the impending doom, gathered in their backyard, where the laughter of children mingled with the chirping of crickets. In the hushed corridors of a sun-drenched California suburb, the tranquil facade of the Watts family home belied the horror that would soon shatter its idyllic facade. Little did they know that the shadow that loomed over them was about to cast a chilling darkness that would ripple through the community and shake the very foundations of justice. A man with a charismatic smile and a seemingly perfect family, Watts was the embodiment of domestic bliss, a picture of fatherhood that belied the sinister undercurrents churning within. But behind the closed doors of his home, a dark web of lies and deception was being woven, one that would unravel into a harrowing tale of greed, obsession, and unfathomable horror. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the property, Christopher Watts, in a silent and sinister ritual, began his descent into the abyss of madness, setting in motion a chain of events that would leave an indelible scar on the hearts of all who knew him. In the eerie silence of the desert night, the moon hung like a silver coin in the sky, casting long, eerie shadows across the sprawling desert landscape. In the heart of a seemingly ordinary suburban neighborhood, where lawns were meticulously maintained and children played without a hint of worry, Christopher Lee Watts lived a life that would forever shatter the tranquility of this picturesque setting. The small town of Pueblo West, Colorado, was a picture of tranquility, its residents blissfully unaware of the sinister storm brewing within the shadowed corners of their community. As the sun set on a seemingly idyllic day, little did the neighbors know that the Watts family would become the central figures in one of the most chilling true crime sagas to grip the nation. a saga that would leave an indelible mark on the hearts and minds of those who dared to delve into the macabre details of the lives they once thought were beyond reproach. As the authorities delved deeper into Watts' twisted world, they uncovered a chilling pattern of murder and deceit that left the town in shock and the nation in horror. Watts, a father of 2 young children, had a talent for deception, and his web of lies began to unravel when the bodies of his unsuspecting victims started to surface, each more macabre than the last. Amidst the quiet, Christopher Lee Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a charismatic smile and a seemingly idyllic family life, harbored a dark secret that would soon shatter the lives of those closest to him. The story of Christopher Lee Watts and the tragic fate of his family would become a cautionary tale, a chilling reminder that appearances can be deceiving and that evil can lurk in the most unsuspecting places. As the days turned into weeks, Watts' facade of normalcy began to crack, revealing a twisted mind that had been meticulously plotting the ultimate crime. The air was thick with the scent of summer, but it was the stench of decay that lingered in the minds of those who would soon uncover the chilling truth. In the serene town of Arvada, Colorado, where the sun dipped below the horizon casting long shadows that seemed to whisper secrets of the past, Christopher Lee Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a charismatic smile and a promising future, harbored a dark secret that would shatter the tranquility of his seemingly perfect life. Little did they know, the calm before the storm was about to unleash a fury that would leave the town reeling in shock and despair. Watts, a seemingly devoted husband and father, had been orchestrating a deadly game of deceit, ensnaring his unsuspecting victims in a web of lies and manipulation. In the desolate expanse of Colorado's Front Range, where the snow-capped peaks meet the rugged plains, a chilling tapestry of tragedy unfurled. It was a story that would echo through the annals of American crime history, a narrative of greed, obsession, and the grim ballet of a serial killer's mind. Christopher Lee Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a penchant for the outdoors and a charming facade, harbored a darkness that would shatter the lives of those closest to him. One evening, as the sky turned a deep shade of indigo, Watts set in motion a chain of events that would lead to the most harrowing discovery of his life, a discovery that would shake the very foundations of his family and leave an indelible mark on the community. As the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, a string of inexplicable disappearances began to unsettle the small community of Frederick. Under the relentless scrutiny of the authorities, Watts's secrets would eventually surface, revealing a macabre collection of bodies buried beneath his own backyard, each a testament to the monstrous appetites that lay dormant within. The story of Christopher Lee Watts and the family he claimed to love would become one of the most haunting tales of modern times, a grim reminder that the monsters we fear may be lurking just beneath the surface of the ones we trust the most. The year was 2018, and as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the quiet neighborhood, Watts, a father and husband, appeared to be the epitome of domestic bliss. In the heart of a seemingly tranquil Colorado town, Christopher Lee Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a dark secret, orchestrated a twisted tale of murder and deceit that would leave an indelible mark on the very fabric of community and justice. Watts, a charismatic and manipulative individual, had meticulously planned his next move, one that would shatter the lives of his loved ones and shake the very foundations of their once peaceful existence. Yet behind the facade of a perfect family life, a chilling darkness lurked. His wife, Shannon, along with their 2 young daughters, Bella and Celeste, had no idea that their lives were about to spiral into a nightmarish abyss. Little did they know that the seeds of their destruction had been sown long before the fateful day when Shannon would be found dead, her body concealed beneath a tarpaulin in a remote storage unit, her husband's sinister grin the last thing she saw in this world. Christopher Lee Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a charismatic smile and a seemingly perfect family, was about to shatter the tranquility forever. Inside, his wife, Robin, greeted him with a warm embrace, unaware that the warmth of the evening would soon turn to the chill of betrayal. In the eerie silence of an otherwise tranquil desert town, the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the desolate landscape. Little did they know that Christopher's heart was heavy with a secret so dark, it would consume them all, leaving a trail of horror that would echo through the years. As dusk settled, he approached his modest home, the scent of dinner wafting through the open windows, a stark contrast to the darkness that was about to descend upon his life. Their young children, excited about the family dinner planned for that night, played in the backyard, their laughter mingling with the distant calls of the desert wildlife. The chilling saga of Christopher Lee Watts and his family murders was about to unfold, a story of greed, obsession, and the unimaginable depths to which a human being can sink, all set against the backdrop of a seemingly perfect family life that was, in reality, a mask for a man who was nothing short of a monster. As the family sat down for dinner, the weight of the past seemed to hang in the air, an unspoken truth that was about to unfold into a tapestry of tragedy, where the threads of love and deceit would weave a story that would haunt the very essence of their existence. Yet behind closed doors, Christopher Lee Watts harbored a sinister agenda, a twisted desire that would shatter the peaceful facade of his seemingly perfect family. The small town of Pueblo, Colorado, was a place where neighbors knew each other by name, children played in the streets, and the past seemed to fade away like the morning mist. With each step he took, the weight of his secrets grew heavier, the chains of his lies tightening around his neck, until one fateful night, the truth would surface and the town would never be the same again. In the heart of the sun-drenched desert, where the sands whispered tales of forgotten souls, Christopher Lee Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a charismatic smile, and a secret as dark as the shadows that crept beneath the moonlit sky, built a life that would soon unravel into a harrowing tapestry of deceit and despair. A serial killer with a cunning mind and a penchant for manipulation, Watts had been meticulously plotting his next move, a move that would not only captivate the entire nation, but also plunge his own family into an abyss of horror. In the quiet, sun-drenched expanse of Colorado, beneath the watchful eyes of towering ponderosa pines, Christopher Lee Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a penchant for the outdoors, harbored a dark secret that would shatter the tranquility of his picturesque life. As the autumn leaves began to turn, and the crisp mountain air whispered secrets of the past, Watts' life took a sinister turn, intertwining the fates of his unsuspecting family with a chilling narrative that would forever be etched into the annals of true crime history. In the serene expanse of the Colorado high desert, where the mountains stand like sentinels guarding ancient secrets, Christopher Lee Watts lived a life that was as deceptive as the sunsets that painted the sky with hues of fire and shadow. A man of seemingly boundless charm and charisma, Watts was a picture of domestic bliss, his smiling face and warm gestures a mask for the cold, calculating mind that lurked behind them. In the serene coastal town of Bakersfield, California, the tranquil facade of family life was shattered on a cold December evening, when the eerie silence was abruptly punctuated by the wails of a desperate mother. His wife, Susan, and their two young daughters, Celeste and Ratchie, believed they had found their happily ever after in this picturesque valley, but little did they know that their lives were about to be shattered by a malevolent force that would cast a dark shadow over their world forever. It was there, in the dimly lit kitchen of the Watts residence, that the chilling reality of a twisted tale unfolded, a tale that would leave an indelible mark on the community and echo through the annals of American criminal history. It was a sunny afternoon, the kind that lulls you into a false sense of security, when Christopher, a seemingly kind and devoted husband, decided that his family's future was not worth the trouble and embarked on a harrowing journey of murder and deceit that would leave an indelible mark on the very soul of the American dream. Christopher Lee Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a charismatic smile and a loving family, harbored a sinister secret that would eventually unravel a tapestry of deceit, murder, and betrayal. As the authorities delved deeper into the dark recesses of his life, they uncovered a web of lies that stretched back years, intertwining with the lives of several unsuspecting souls. It was a story of greed, obsession, and a twisted obsession with control that would leave behind a trail of tragedy and horror, leaving an entire city grappling with the unimaginable. Under the flickering glow of streetlights, Watts' home, a modest abode on the edge of town, was a silent witness to a web of lies and secrets that had been meticulously woven over the years. In the shadowy heart of a sun-scorched desert town, the quiet of the evening was shattered by the scream of a woman in the grip of terror, her voice echoing through the night like a banshee's cry, sending shivers down the spines of those few souls who dared to venture out. Christopher Lee Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a smile that never quite reached his eyes, had just become the center of a nightmare that would ripple through the fabric of the community, a tapestry of tragedy and deceit that would unravel the lives of his closest kin. In the shadowed crevices of the desolate desert town of Pueblo, Colorado, Christopher Lee Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a penchant for fishing and the outdoors, harbored a dark secret that would shatter the lives of those around him. Little did his unsuspecting neighbors know, their lives were about to collide with a nightmare of unimaginable proportions. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a Chinese letter, 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 the air grew thick with anticipation, and the first ominous threads of the chilling tale of the Watts family murders began to weave their sinister tapestry. The tranquil facade of his modest home on the edge of the city belied the treacherous undercurrents of his existence. It was a place where the laughter of children echoed through the air, but behind closed doors, a chilling silence reigned. The year was 2015, and the seeds of a serial killer's reign of terror had been sown, the first of many lives to be ensnared in the sinister web woven by Christopher Lee Watts. Christopher Lee Watts, a charismatic and successful local entrepreneur, was the picture of domestic bliss, with a devoted wife, Dawn, and their young, beautiful daughter, Autumn. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long, eerie shadows, Christopher would emerge from his seclusion, his eyes a mask of deceit, his every step a calculated dance with danger. In the quiet, sun-drenched town of Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio, the idyllic facade of a seemingly perfect family was about to shatter into a million irreparable pieces. Behind the facade, however, a dark and sinister undercurrent simmered just beneath the surface. It was a summer evening in August when the Watts family was last seen together, laughing and enjoying the warmth of their backyard. Little did they know that the joyous laughter would soon turn into a cacophony of horror and despair. That night, as the sun dipped below the horizon, a series of events would unfold that would leave the entire community in shock and disbelief. It was a summer evening, the sun casting a golden glow over the sprawling neighborhoods, when the lives of the Watts family were irrevocably altered. Christopher Lee Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a charismatic smile and a successful business, was the unsuspecting architect of a horror that would leave an indelible mark on the hearts of those who knew him. In the shadowed corners of a once peaceful Colorado town, the chilling whispers of a dark secret began to unfurl, a tale that would shatter the very fabric of community trust. The once tranquil town was about to confront a nightmare that no one could have ever imagined. A nightmarish sequence of events that would lead to the tragic discovery of 3 bodies in a shallow grave, forever altering the course of history in this otherwise serene community. Behind closed doors, within the sanctuary of his own home, a web of deceit and terror was being woven, a tapestry of lies that would unravel to reveal a monstrous truth. The story of the Watts family murders began with a whisper, a single, chilling word that would echo through the years, a word that would become synonymous with the depths of human depravity. Christopher was a seemingly kind and gentle man, a father who doted on his kids, a husband who cherished his wife. Yet behind the facade of domestic bliss, a malevolent force simmered, waiting for the moment when the perfect storm of opportunity would arise. The sun rose and set on the modest abode he shared with his wife, Susan, and their 2 young children, with the tranquil sounds of the countryside providing a deceptive veil over the dark undercurrents that surged beneath the surface. In the heart of the sun-drenched Colorado plains, where the relentless wind howled through the towering pines and the azure skies stretched endlessly above, Christopher Lee Watts lived a life that was as ordinary as it was sinister. Inside, the family merrily celebrated the approaching holiday season, unaware of the dark storm brewing within their walls. And when that moment came, Christopher Lee Watts would embark on a harrowing descent into the depths of evil, leaving a trail of horror and despair that would shake the very foundation of his family and shatter the lives of those he claimed to love the most. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows that danced across the lawns of the Watts home, a sprawling mansion that stood like a beacon of wealth and happiness to the oblivious neighbors. In the eerie twilight of a small, sun-drenched town nestled between rolling hills and the whispering embrace of a tranquil river, Christopher Lee Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a sinister secret, orchestrated a chilling web of deceit and horror that would shatter the peaceful facade of his seemingly perfect family life. However, beneath the facade of the Watts family, a dark undercurrent of deceit and tragedy simmered, threatening to boil over at any moment. It was a life that appeared perfect from the outside: a handsome husband, a devoted father, and a successful business owner. Watts was the epitome of the American dream. In the quiet, sun-drenched expanse of the Colorado Rockies, nestled within the verdant embrace of the pine-covered hills, lay the idyllic town of Wheat Ridge, where Christopher Lee Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a charmed life, was about to shatter the serene facade of domestic bliss. One fateful day, when the sun dipped below the horizon and the shadows began to lengthen, Christopher Lee Watts would take a monstrous turn, dragging his family into the abyss of a harrowing nightmare that would shake the very core of the community. Christopher, a charismatic and seemingly caring husband and father, concealed a heart that harbored a monstrous darkness, one that would soon reveal itself in the most heinous of ways, as the lives of his loved ones were systematically torn apart in a series of chilling, meticulously planned murders that would leave an indelible mark on the very fabric of their community. The whispers of sinister secrets and the haunting echoes of the past would soon surface, revealing the chilling truth behind the smiling faces of the Watts family, a truth that would leave an indelible scar upon the hearts of those who knew them best. In the eerie calm of a sun-drenched afternoon, the serene town of Wheat Ridge, Colorado, was forever altered by the chilling revelation that Christopher Lee Watts, a seemingly ordinary man, had been a mastermind of the most heinous crimes. The tranquil facade of family life was shattered when Watts was accused of systematically abducting, raping, and murdering his pregnant wife, Samantha, and his 2 young daughters, Bella and Celeste. The details of his twisted psyche and the grim sequence of events that unfolded in the shadowy corners of his home were enough to make the most hardened souls shiver. The townspeople, once bound by the comforting illusion of safety, now lived with the haunting fear that the monster among them had been hiding in plain sight, preying on the most vulnerable members of their community. As investigators delved deeper into Watt's life, they uncovered a trail of deceit and horror that stretched far beyond the confines of his home, leading to the chilling realization that this was no isolated act of madness, but a calculated and cunning descent into the abyss of evil. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the landscape, Watts, a charismatic father and husband, prepared for the evening ahead, unaware that the shadows lurking in his mind were about to cast a far more sinister glow. In the eerie quiet of a small, sun-drenched town nestled between rolling hills and the whispering embrace of a serene river, Christopher Lee Watts, a seemingly ordinary man with a shadowy past, harbored a darkness that would shatter the tranquil facade of his seemingly perfect family life. The Watts family, with their quaint home adorned with blooming flowers and the laughter of children echoing through the garden, appeared to be the epitome of domestic bliss. But beneath the surface, a web of deceit and horror was being woven by a man who would come to be known as one of the most notorious serial killers in American history. It was a crisp autumn morning when the community of Wheat Ridge was jolted to its core, as the tranquil facade of the Watts family home was shattered by the news of a devastating crime. The man at the center of this harrowing tale, Christopher Lee Watts, a seemingly gentle husband and father, was soon revealed to be a master of manipulation and deceit, ensnaring the lives of 3 innocent souls in a web of terror. As the days turned into weeks, the town of Cripple Creek, Colorado, would be forever altered by the chilling revelations that would emerge, revealing the chilling truth behind the seemingly idyllic Watts family and the brutal, calculated murders that would shake the very foundation of their once peaceful community. His sinister past, marked by a string of suspicious disappearances and unexplained deaths, would soon come to light, painting a chilling portrait of a man whose life was a relentless descent into darkness. In the shadowy, sun-scorched expanse of rural Colorado, a dark tapestry of secrets unfurled, weaving the tragic narrative of Christopher Lee Watts, a seemingly ordinary man whose name would become synonymous with the unspeakable. As the story unfolded, it would reveal a man who could don the mask of a loving family man with ease, only to discard it as he slipped further into the abyss of his own making, leaving behind a legacy of horror that would forever stain the memory of those who knew him.